What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson. Back at it again with another collaboration. And guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And today, man, we have a really talented brother by way of the Chi-Town, but he is a Brazil expert. Brother Dennis Jean Pierre. I believe I said that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, brother, and tell people what your channel is all about.
Uh, Basically, my channel is about my travels to Brazil. I decided to create a little travel log surrounding my travels in Brazil, particularly different cities. This is the first time I've ever really bounced around to different cities in Brazil, so I wanted to create a little vlog, a little travel log, and share my experiences as well as my observations of different cities in Brazil. Because a lot of people just know Rio de Janeiro, but there's not a lot of information out there on different cities in Brazil. So I wanted to take that on.
You do a hell of a job, man. You're very thorough, authentic. You pay attention to a lot of detail in your content. Like you go into a lot of detail that, like, if somebody was thinking about a question, it seems like if I watch one of your videos, you've already answered my question that I would have thought about if I just watched what you have to say. So you're very intuitive of what a subscriber would be looking at as a question. But let me ask you this, because you're from a very big city, one of the biggest financial cities in the union. What got you to wanting to go to Brazil in the first place?
Well, I've always heard good things about Brazil over the years, going back to like maybe the mid 2000s, early 2000s. But eventually, what made me want to go to Brazil was Al Grease's video, his documentary, Frustrated. Because like a lot of American men, I became a little frustrated with the dating scene in America. And plus, I had never been outside of North America before. So I said, it's time to try something different. So when I saw his documentary, that kind of pushed me over the edge. I said, I'm going. And it changed my life. And that was back in 2013.
What was so frustrating about the dating scene in America?
Well, I noticed that, after social media started blowing up, it became a little tougher to get traction. You know what I'm saying? As far as dating, it's in the city that I'm from. So I said, I'm gonna try a different ballpark and see if I can get a different result. And I did it, and I got a hell of a result.
Now, you said it changed your life. In what ways? Because what ways did going to Brazil change your life?
Well, when you travel outside the United States for the first time, it kind of expands your worldview. It changes your perspective on things. You go to a different country and you see the way other people live, and it changes. You're not the same. It's like a rubber band that's stretched too much. It never goes back to its original shape.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this, because obviously brothers who go to I went once, and shout out to Black Males Travels. Before he had the YouTube channel, he was just Aaron. He helped guide me, around Copacabana and Ipanema, things like that. We had a really good time. I mean, I've never met him before. 18, and he was really, 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 really giving me some good stuff. And now he's a YouTuber, right? He's doing pretty good now. A lot of African American men are traveling to Brazil, and then there's always the bad rap that the issues that black men have had in America with black women, which was also in Al Grease's Frustrated film, is just that these black men don't have enough game, quote unquote, or they don't know how to talk to women. And if they go to Brazil and if they're dating women, it's only because those women are poor, and and so those women are looking to come to the United States and things like that. And that's the only reason why those women would be nice to those black men. What would you say to people that have those arguments? And I know you've heard them before.
Well, what makes those women any different from American women? Most women are looking for a come up. Most women are looking for a man that's better than them or has more. Most women are looking for a man with resources. So how are these women different from any other woman in America?
That's a great question. That's an awesome question. You're right. All women are hypergamous, right? So let's talk about like your first trip, because you said it changed your life. Can you talk about certain things that you experienced in Brazil on your first trip that made you want to come back, or the first time you went?
The first time I went, the first thing I realized was how receptive and open Brazilian culture is. And I always explain this to Brazilians whenever I come here. I say, hey, here in Brazil, socially it's more open. It's easy to make friends. Whereas in the United States in general, it's socially closed. For example, if you go out somewhere in the United States by yourself, most likely you're going to stay by yourself because everybody's in their own little bubble. You know what I'm saying? Whereas here, you can chat up people, no problem. I'm speaking in general terms. Of course, there are exceptions, but here it's more socially open, easier to make friends. The dating scene is a little more open. Women are more open to meeting guys they don't know. So if you're a single guy, look decent, smell good, dress nice, I mean, you can really have a good experience here in Brazil. And also, your money goes a lot further here.
Okay.
The exchange rate is 1 to 5. Case in point, last night I went to the grocery store. I got a whole basket, little hand basket that they give out in the grocery store. I got a whole hand basket full of stuff for like $20. So your money goes a lot further. The social life here is superior in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And you got beautiful weather, you got beautiful women, beautiful beaches. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Let me kind of go back to the social aspect, because it's not just obviously that's about women, but you said you can meet friends all over. Now obviously Brazil is a country that speaks Portuguese. How are you able to make friends? I mean, obviously I don't know how fluent you are, but isn't that a little hard? When I was in Rio de Janeiro, I noticed real quick like 98% of people didn't even speak English, which is different from even like Poland. People speak English a little bit more frequently. But how do you get around making friends when Portuguese is not your first language?
Well, when I first came to Brazil, I didn't know hardly anything. Even though I started studying a couple months before I came here. Most people in Brazil, very few speak good English. I've encountered very few Brazilians here who speak good English. Most people know a few words, a few phrases here and there, but Portuguese is definitely necessary. Portuguese is tough. It's not easy. But I've been studying it for almost 8 years now. And it opens a lot of doors. To be able to connect with people in their language.
Okay. Let me talk about this as black men, because a lot of black men now are, you have people going to Medellin, you have people that's going to, the Dominican Republic is very, very big hot spot. There's going to be a lot of opportunities that are transparent for Americans that the American government has set up with the DR. And then obviously you see Panama, and then you have like Brazil. Have you been to any of those other places like Colombia or?
I have not yet.
You have not. Okay.
I mean, it's like what Aaron said. He said once you go to Brazil, maybe I made a mistake by coming here first, because it's like once you start coming here, everything else is, I wouldn't say a step down, but it's not the same as Brazil. But eventually, I will get to those places. Eventually, I will.
Now you've been to several cities outside, because most people are talking about Rio. Mm-hmm. Very few out here talk about Sao Paulo, although Al Grease was recently in Sao Paulo. Mm-hmm. You're in Fortaleza. Now I heard about Fortaleza because Charles Tyler, before he passed, was going to get married to somebody in Fortaleza. Charles Tyler, the really popular black YouTuber that started everybody going to Brazil. You're in different cities. What has going to different cities in Brazil showed you or revealed to you about the culture that you didn't know?
Well, a lot of people are familiar with, when they think Brazil, they think Rio de Janeiro. Okay, that's what the city that everybody knows. That's the most famous city in Brazil. But I kind of got tired of Rio. I was like, I want to see something else now, because this is my 7th trip to Brazil. I said, I want to go off the beaten path a little bit, see what these other cities are all about. And every city is different, just like every major city in the United States is different. Every city has its own energy. Every city has its own culture. And I was happy to be able to experience these different cities. And I still got, one of my goals is to visit every major city in this country. I visited Florianopolis, which is in the more southern part of Brazil. I've been to Salvador Bahia. I've been to Fortaleza, and I'm going to visit 2 more cities after this one before I head back to Rio.
Let me talk about Salvador Bahia, because that's a lot of Afro-Brazilian people are there. What was when you come to Salvador in comparison to Rio with the women interactions and how they treat you versus the women that are in Rio? Is there a difference between the interactions between Salvador women and women in Rio de Janeiro?
Well, if you speak to a lot of brothers that have been to Salvador, they had a good experience. I didn't have so much of a great experience in Salvador with the ladies there, but I think I was just an isolated case. But you got a lot of beautiful women. If you like afros, if you like the black women that wear their natural hair, which I love, by the way, Salvador is where you want to go. But I think if you're going to go to Salvador, make sure you know somebody there, a local that can show you around, and you got to have I think you have to have a social circle. And also, Portuguese is needed too. What I'm saying? If you can speak Portuguese, again, you're going to go a long way. But I didn't have that great of a time in Salvador, but a lot of brothers I've talked to have had a hell of a time in Salvador. So there you have it. Compared to Rio, I like Rio better.
What's the difference? Because a lot of black men, I know this is very popular. I'm gonna talk to Larry, who runs the American Brazilian YouTube channel. He's married to an Afro-Brazilian out in in Jacksonville, Florida now. And Al Greaves was telling me that a lot of black men, when they get on a plane, they have to fly out of Brazil back to their home country. They cry. People cry actual tears.
Yes.
I was only there for Rio de Janeiro. I mean, obviously I didn't cry, but do you believe that's true, or is that a rumor? And if that's true,
it happened to me. It happened to me.
It happened to you. Okay.
It happened to me.
Okay, talk about that.
Case in point, this was back in 2018. I stayed in Rio for a month. That's the longest. At that time, that was the longest I had ever stayed in Brazil. And I remember packing my bags, and I remember crying. I'm like, I don't want to go back home. I wasn't ready to go back home. And I was angry, and I was like, man, I'm sick of this feeling every time I come here. I want to be able to stay as long as I want. So what I did was that I put myself in a position where I put my income to a point where I can stay as long as I want to and not have to worry about going back to no job. So that's why I'm here. I've been here for almost 3 months now. And so that was the objective. That was my mission, to be able to come to Brazil and stay whenever I want, as long as I wanted to, and not come back until I felt like it.
Let's talk about that, because with the economy and coronavirus the way that it is now, a lot of African American men just being fed up with dating in America, especially in the African American community. And brothers watch your videos. They're watching, Black Men's Travels. They're watching, brother Antoine over there in the Philippines. Black American Expat channel. They're watching a lot of guys live an out of the box lifestyle, and a lot of guys are still in the rudimentary. Either they lost their jobs, or they're still working in certain, whether it may be truck driving or certain businesses like that. And a lot of guys would like to get away. What are some of the steps that African American men can take to be free, of the 9-to-5 and live like a digital entrepreneurship life? And what advice would you give for guys wanting to do that?
You have to find a way to make money online. That's what a lot of guys are doing. There are numerous ways to do that. Some guys do Forex or foreign exchange trading. Some guys do stocks. Some guys do real estate. Some guys do cryptocurrency. I do CPA marketing or affiliate marketing, which is basically selling other people's stuff online and getting a commission for it. To live that digital lifestyle, you have to have a residual source of income. That is a necessity. And I cover that in one of my most recent videos on how I sustain myself here in Brazil. I haven't worked a 9-to-5 job in almost 2 years. So it's imperative that you find a way to make money online, whatever it is.
Let me ask you this, because
Mhm.
a lot of guys, if they want to set a goal, if you want to live in, Fortaleza or in
Mhm.
Rio de Janeiro in U.S. dollars, like in order to make a jump, how much money should a brother have, or be looking to earn per month to be safe? If he wants to live, a decent lifestyle in Brazil, in your opinion.
In my opinion, it depends on where you're living at, but I would say a couple $1,000s, $2,000 to $3,000 US.
Okay.
I think you can live a decent life here. It depends on where you're living in these cities. Are you living in an exclusive neighborhood? Are you living in a lower class neighborhood, middle class neighborhood? It depends. But the exchange rate makes everything so affordable. For example, I've seen there's a guy here. He rented an apartment here in Fortaleza for $300 a month, right here, a block from the beach. $300 a
Wow.
month. I've seen. I checked some of the listings in Rio de Janeiro for beachfront apartments. $500 a month for a one bedroom. I mean, it's really not that expensive. It's really not that. If you want to you can live a good life here, but on a couple $1,000s a month.
Okay. Do you think, like, for a lot of guys with the economy, is that money? Because I know, like, for example, I'm a YouTube content creator.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've been in this space. We talked about it a little bit earlier, since 2015. So, I mean, I've been in the business for 6 years and stuff like that. So, for me, in my position, like, as long as I got internet, kind of just like you, I can still make it happen, right, for myself. As long as I can get an internet source, and I'm in on the platform. But for guys who, let's say they did, they're trying to learn a new skill, because I've been, doing this for 6 years. You've been probably doing yours for 2 or 3 years. What would you say as far as them learning, something in the digital economy, and how long did it take you to learn how to do what you're doing, for you to get good at it, for you to become profitable at it?
Well, I started doing what I do now, which is pay per click advertising. I started in 2016, and I would do it on the side. Like I go to work, I come home, and I get on the computer for a few hours and work on my craft until I built it up to the point where I was able to walk away from my 9 to 5 job. Okay, and it took a couple months for me to several months for me to really get really decent at it. But now that I pretty much mastered it, it's almost a guarantee that I'm gonna make money. I mean, there's no I know 100% that I'm gonna make money doing what I do. I don't have to worry about market fluctuations or nothing like that. I know 100% that I'm gonna make money with CPA marketing, and I do forex too. I dabble with forex on the side too, but in my opinion, you only put money into forex that you can comfortably afford to lose, because you're not in control of the market. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can lose
Right.
at any time. So I decided to put my time and my energy and my resources into CPA marketing.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, let me ask you this, because kind of go back to the dating and the mating situation.
Mhm.
What about Brazilian women? I mean, obviously you're a guy, you're earning the US dollar, so you can afford to do things like that. How do Brazilian women treat you? Because obviously there's been known that being some racism between blacks and people in Brazil. So how are you received as an African American, and how do Brazilian women treat you in comparisons to how maybe women in America treated you?
Well, I'm gonna speak in general terms. I'm just speaking. Of course, there are great American women. There are not so great Brazilian women, but I'm speaking in general terms here. I find Brazilian women to be more feminine, more easygoing. You got a lot of sexy and attractive women here, and they tend to, as long as you're a man, you know what I'm saying. As long as you're a man and you take care of business, they will treat you with respect. And if you find a good one, you'll have a loyal companion for life. They're just a lot of them are just a breath of fresh air to deal with. Of course, you got a little bit of feminism here, but I don't see feminism getting the traction that it does in the United States, because in order for feminism to work, you got to have the media and the legal system to back you up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here, it's not like that. So the women are still traditional here, very
Mm-hmm.
feminine. A lot of them are down to earth. I mean, you got some really, really attractive women here that are some of the most down to earth, sweetest women that you've ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
So once you start dating Brazilian women, and I'll tell this to anybody, I don't care who gets offended. Once you start dating Brazilian women, it's hard to go back to dating American women. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And
So,
a lot of other brothers can attest to that.
oh, and there's a huge community, like some probably the bigger Facebook groups that are African American male dominated deal with black men going to Brazil.
And let me say this. Let me say this right quick. Let me make this little disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they seem to have this perception that, Brazilian women are pushovers. That is not the case. Okay. These women will fight you if you up. Okay. A lot of people say, oh, you just looking for a maid or a slave. No. It's not like that. It is not like that. Okay. These women will fight you. They will get in your face. They will have a dispute with you if you mess up. So let's dispel this notion that we're just looking for a slave or a handmaiden or a doormat. That's not the case.
Let me ask you this, because obviously, I do see brothers in the Colombian group with brother Black Male Travels. Not really the Colombian group, but he's in Medellin. I'm seeing guys
Aaron
from
Ferris.
America. Yeah, I'm seeing guys from America that have businesses set up, restaurants, things like the African American men. I do see that also in Dominican Republic. People like Edie and Cole. But one of the things maybe I'm not privy to it, but I don't see African American men that have those things. Maybe in Brazil, I don't know. Maybe they do, and I just don't know about it. But it seems like when it comes to guys who are entrepreneurs, they're picking, like Colombia and the DR over Brazil. Is there a certain reason why that is, or are there black men that are doing those kind of things in Brazil? I just don't know about it.
Doing what type of things?
Like restaurants, certain small businesses and things like that.
Yes, there are men doing that. Me personally, I didn't want to do that because I would rather earn money in my own currency, because the U.S. dollar is stronger than the Colombian peso. It's stronger than the Brazilian real. So your money is going to go a lot farther. I could be wrong, but I prefer to earn money in my own currency because my money goes a lot further.
Right. No, I definitely understand that. For guys, because with the current dating market, and a lot of black men are complaining about that. Mm-hmm. Do you think that we're going to see a lot more African American men going to? Because a lot of guys, are hate on. A lot of the travel guys get a lot of hate. Like, it's either it's either like. And I'm a guy. I guess you can consider me. I don't really do the. I guess it's like the guys who are the more of the Latin American kind of guys. Like, I'm an Africa kind of guy, so they really don't bother me too much about it. But like, if you're going to like the spots that are more associated with with the trick and stuff like that. But either a lot of guys like the travel guys, or they hate them. But do you think that the black male travel community is gonna continue to grow because of what's going on in the States? Or do you think that, that's going to... Okay, why is that?
Because you got guys like me who are providing ocular proof. Ocular proof. We're not just telling you about it, we're showing it to you. So a lot of men are seeing this and they're like, hey, I want to be like that guy. I want to do what he's doing. I like what I see. And they're gonna want to experience the same thing. They want to experience something different.
Let me ask you this. As far as your safety, because I know like Brazil, certain places. I know Colombia had a bad rap. They've really gotten things, really good with the transportation in Medellin. But also, I know Rio de Janeiro has a lot of really good, expensive places, nice places. But also there's some, it could be some concerns for safety and things like that, and so just like anywhere else. Number one, like, how do you find the infrastructure to be with like internet, power, electricity, things like that, since you've been in Brazil, in comparison to the States? What have you seen as far as that is concerned?
In the major cities, you don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with internet or power or nothing like that. In some of the maybe smaller locales in Brazil. I've heard of people having issues with power and internet service and this and this and that. But as far as infrastructure, obviously Brazil does not have the infrastructure or the resources that the United States has. Okay. However, you can find and live a pretty good facsimile of a first world lifestyle here in Brazil. For example, I've seen places in Florianopolis, I've seen houses, I've seen gated communities that will rival anything in the United States, anything, including Rio too. I mean, there were neighborhoods in Florianopolis that I saw, I felt like I was in Beverly Hills. I'm like, damn, this is not a third world country like they try to make it seem. There's people down here living really well. And not all of them are rich.
You're right. Even in Rio, when I was there, I mean, especially if you like in Ipanema, man, like it's just as luxurious as anywhere else that I've seen in the world. Like, you know, Europe, London, it was neck and neck. You know, I was, you know, the rich and elite live a good life. I'll spend a lot of money there, just like I was spending anywhere else for a meal.
If you have 200,000 US dollars, you're a millionaire in Brazil.
Right. Right.
So you can live a pretty good lifestyle here, a pretty good lifestyle.
Let me ask you this: in comparisons to, you know, the Afro-Brazilian ladies, and let's say ladies that might be considered more Caucasian in Brazil, are the Afro-Brazilian ladies? I mean, what's the difference between the two? If you could say, if you've dealt with a woman that from Brazil that was more white or a woman that was more black, is there a difference in how they treat you?
Not really. I mean, this is gonna trip you out, but I would say that 90% of the Brazilian black women pay me no attention.
What? Wow.
It's mostly the mix. That's just me. That's just been my experience. Other guys have had a different experience, but I would say the overwhelming majority of Brazilian black women pay me no attention, which was kind of shocking when I first got to Brazil, because I'm like, you know, these are the women that I'm looking to connect with. But from my experiences, most of them, the majority of them pay me no attention. Most of the ones that I end up connecting with are the mixed or even a few white Brazilians, what we would classify as white.
So let me ask you this: like, if you try to go up and holler, like, you know, like if you're in Chicago, you know, or any black place, you know how niggas are. You know, we go up and try to talk to a woman and things like that. Mm-hmm. What's the way that guys are doing? I mean, is it more like an online thing, or are you approaching women trying to talk to them when you see them out, or how? I mean, how do you go about it?
You talking about American guys or Brazilian guys?
Well, American guys. How do you approach Brazilian women?
A lot of guys, it depends on their language ability. Some guys meet them online, or they do what's called pipelining, whereas they meet women online before they arrive, and when they get to their destination, they meet the women, date them or whatever. Or you can meet women on the street. You can meet women in passing on the ground. You see a girl out somewhere. It's happened to me plenty of times. I'll be walking down the street. A woman gives me eye contact. I'll approach her. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. If a Brazilian woman likes you, you're gonna know it. There's no, you know, they don't play as many games, as many mental chess games as a lot of American women tend to play.
I see.
And the Brazilian guys, Brazilian men, they tend to be more aggressive. Okay. I mean, they run down on these girls. I remember one time, my first trip to Brazil, I went to a nightclub in Lapa, and this guy had this girl pinned up against the wall, trying to jam his tongue down her throat. Man, I'm sitting here watching this. I'm like, look at this dude. And she was giving her resistance or whatever. Eventually, she squirmed her way out of it. But I was like, man, these dudes, they run straight down on these girls. They're more aggressive than your typical American guy. A lot of the stuff that the Brazilian guys here do will get you arrested in the United States.
I heard, yeah. Or that they buy you a drink, they expect, you're supposed to give it up after that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, or buy dinner.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So, okay. So let me just ask you this, man, because you're in the coronavirus pandemic, and obviously I know when I was in Uganda for a year, After 9, it was a strict curfew. You couldn't go outside. At one point, they had restricted complete movement of motor vehicles. Like, you couldn't even catch an Uber or even a motorbike anywhere. What's the situation right now in Fortaleza with the coronavirus restrictions?
When I first got here, I got here maybe a week and a half ago, and they had already had a curfew where everybody had to be off the street at 10 o'clock at night. All businesses closed at 8 p.m. And then this past Friday, 2 days ago, the governor of the state of Ceará, which Fortaleza is in, they instituted a lockdown. So that means no more leisurely walking through the street, no more running through the street. You can only go outside if you're going for essentials like food or whatever. I can still fly out of here, but you can't walk up and down the street like you did once before. So a couple of days after I decided to stay another week here, they institute the lockdown. If I knew the lockdown was going to occur, I would have flew out of here a couple of days ago.
So is it different in Rio, or is it just state by state?
It's state by state. The governor decides whether to institute a lockdown. Rio de Janeiro, the city is in Rio de Janeiro state. So the governor decides whether to institute a lockdown or a curfew. In Rio right now, there's a curfew. They instituted a curfew on Friday. So, you can't be out at night, late at night.
Okay. So
now they said that they're going to have it. They're going to have the curfew until the 11th of March, which I don't believe. I think they're either going to extend the curfew or go into a full lockdown in Rio.
Okay. So basically, for brothers trying to travel right now, it's probably not the best time to do it because of. Okay.
No.
So when you come back,
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. So you know what I'm saying?
As a matter of fact, when I leave Brazil, I'm not coming back here until they lift everything. You know what I'm saying? Until they lift all these restrictions. Otherwise, what's the point of coming?
Right.
So at least with a curfew, you can go outside during the daytime. You can go to the beach or whatever. But if it's a total lockdown, it's just not worth coming.
Right. Okay. Well, let me ask you this, man. For anybody because you have a really good channel, anybody to be interested in watching your YouTube content, tell the brothers what should they expect from coming to your YouTube channel?
Well, like I said, I provide ocular proof of life here in Brazil. I don't just talk about it, I show it to you. I do walkthroughs. I walk through the cities with the camera and show you different scenery. I do interviews with the locals. My Portuguese is sufficient enough where I'm able to talk to people and be understood. And I do a lot of beach shots at the beach. I do videos where people can actually see how to interact with people, the locals here in Brazil, because not a lot of people are doing that. I don't see a lot of YouTubers doing that. They're usually just walking up and down the beach with the camera and not really talking to anybody. Wow, that was an angle I chose to come at. I chose to approach, is actually talk to the people, check out their mindset, how to interact with them, what they think of certain things. And I think that's a really powerful message to send. Like, hey, these are real people. These are not just some, mysterious figures. You know what I'm saying? These are not just some mysterious places. This is a really beautiful country. Brazil is a really beautiful country. And I wanted to convey that in my videos.
Do you think you'll ever live there permanently?
I don't want to live here permanently. I'm satisfied living here just half the year. Like, for example, when it's wintertime in North America, I come here. Because I can't, ever since I started coming here during the wintertime, during Chicago winters, I can't stay in Chicago for another winter. I'm ruined. You know what I'm saying? Because now I know what's on the other side of the fence. How can I stay in Chicago when it's freezing cold and snowing, knowing that summertime is only a flight away? It's only an 11-hour flight away. So when it's wintertime in Chicago, I come here and I stay here until it gets to the weather, eases up a little bit in Chicago.
Okay. All right. Well, man, great interview, great show, man. I apologize. I've been trying to, seeing the work you've been doing, man. You're really talented YouTuber. You really thorough, pay attention to details. You should have a lot more subscribers than what you do, in my opinion. So, guys, we want you to go and subscribe to Dennis John Piora's YouTube channel. First comment pinned to the top. And any last words you want to say, brother?
Hey, anybody watching this, they have their reservations about coming to Brazil, or they're nervous or afraid or hesitant, don't be. Make the trip. Connect with people down here. Connect with guys like me. Connect with guys like Aaron Ferris or whoever, and make the leap. You won't be sorry, and you won't be the same either.
Yeah, shout out to brother Aaron, man. He hooked me up when I was out there. So, guys, make sure you check the first comment pinned to the top. I really thank you for coming on. And as you guys know, all my information is pinned to the first top, a comment to the top, as well as Dennis's channel. Peace out, everybody. I always remember the buffoonery remains the all-time high. I'm out.